You see these kicks? These kicks were dirty. They were beat up. I couldn't wear them. But I got in contact with Lara Murchi at 537 Shawmut Ave, the fashion center, and he brought these beauties back to life. Get in touch with him if you need your kicks clean, your furniture done, your purses done. It ain't called the fashion center for no reason. At 537 Shawmut Ave in historic South Boston. Just tell him your boy said ya. Peace. What is going on, my good people? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Say That Podcast. So you already know the drill. Don't say this, say that. I want to thank everybody who tuned in my last episode. It was a really, really dope one with my boy Black Will. That was a long time coming. I've known that dude for 10 years now. I've been around him a lot, and it's really dope that we got to have his first interview on this platform. So if you haven't checked it out already, please go do so. He's also got a freestyle on there that y'all got to go see because it's a lot different than what you expect from normal freestyles. But as always, you got to follow me on Instagram. It's REPETE617. And the podcast Instagram is say_that_pod. Please follow us. We're really going to help get our followers, hit our follower goal this year. And yeah, we on pace. So I love that. But, so as people know, I'm on the road to 100 episodes. And on that road, as I mentioned previously, I want to give love to a lot of people that I've known who are from, either the same area, who have, talked to multiple times, have grown up with, or whatever the case may be. This man today, he's got roots in the hometown of the North End. As you can see behind me, that's me yelling out my grandmother's apartment on Prince Street. If you haven't figured that out by now, yeah, that's what that is. And he's an artist himself, and I've actually had the pleasure of being introduced to him over these last couple months. And he's obviously someone that I want to give flowers to and make sure that he has his first ever interview. So please give it up for my man, Nico. What's going on, brother?
How we doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. I'm good. Excited.
Yeah, how's your year been so far?
It's been all right. Same thing as any year.
Type shit, of course.
Adversity, you got to get through it. Just keep pushing.
Fuck with that, course.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Man.
So I guess, first off, take the people through the journey, how you got to become an artist and how you took that first step for yourself in terms of your creative process and how you wanted to put your music out there.
It's been a long journey. I grew up with my father being an artist, a musician. He's always been in, street magic, a cappella.
Right.
So I always looked up to him in that sense. And his story when he was trying to make it was always the most interesting thing to me. So that's what was my chip on my shoulder. I had to continue his legacy in some form, So I didn't really get serious in it until I want to say 19, 20. That's when I first started to try to get songs together, line for line, the format of a song, verse, chorus, or verse, bridge, chorus, things like
the whole
that.
ones and
the
twos,
format
right?
of a song, yeah. I was getting in the groove of learning how to do that. Because I always looked at life as what do you want to do, and align that with what you're good at doing, or the other way around. What are you good at doing, and what do you want to do that you can utilize your talents and things like that. So when I was in college, just that dream came back into my head. I wanted baseball. I wanted to be a baseball player. You look like a baseball player,
100%, yeah.
Exactly, playing for the Dodgers and stuff like that.
Hey, come on now.
Not the LA Dodgers, the North End.
Oh, okay, no, okay, all right, just making sure.
But,
making sure. That's right.
But yeah, that, when I got to college and I played ball in college.
Where'd you go to college real quick?
Gordon College, right down the street.
Oh,
right down the street.
Yeah, exactly.
Right next to Endicott.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I applied for Endicott, actually. They didn't give me a loan.
Small college.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. At some point, something clicked, I wanted to do that. Yeah. And it was just working at it, every day, trying to find a beat to write to and stuff like that. And then it was, about how to make money from it. That's how the normal, journey goes for, an artist, in my opinion. But I had to do something with it because of my background.
Of course. And so, you growing up and watching your dad do it and you said, you obviously want to honor his legacy through that. Mm-hmm. Was there ever a time that you were maybe not, or was this kind of always in the cards for you? Because you said you played baseball, and obviously when people do that, they're all right, I want to do this, I want to do baseball or something like that, or maybe I want to do something else. But so this was basically always in the cards for you in that type of sense.
Honestly, I would say.
Yeah.
Well, it was always in like the back of my head
Yeah.
because of my dad. You know what I'm saying?
Of
Like,
course.
because of my dad, I should be able to do this in some sort of way.
Yeah.
I was always obsessed with the guitar. Always obsessed with like trying to perform, sing a song right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Totally.
like my dad, like he would never miss a key. He was a perfectionist when it came to
I
music.
still listen to all that old stuff. Like
Everything,
that. I love it.
everything that Street Magic does
Right.
is like all the arrangements that my dad made for them.
Yeah.
He's a perfection. You know, he taught me to do that in a musical sense. But what were we saying?
Well, just your background, like how you basically like.
No, I know, but like the specific question you asked was like,
It was like it's always in the cards for you, I guess.
yeah,
90%.
basically.
Yeah.
You know, I always had it in the back of my head. I knew in some sort of way I was gonna do this, like even if it was a hobby or not. You know.
Well, I think it's cool how you kind of have kicked it not as a hobby because you're going through like the business side of it. Because a lot of artists, they just get into rap, but they don't realize the deeper level of like, you know, publishing rights, you know, how you make money off streams, especially in the streaming era we are now, even though it's not a lot, which is the shittiest part of things. So I think it's good that you actually were calculated with it. You didn't just jump in and be like, oh yeah, I'm doing music now, whatever. Obviously there's your dad side of things and it being in the back of your head, but instead of just jumping into the open waters and not knowing how to swim, you kind of like took that extra step, in which I recommend that all artists do, instead of just going in and rapping, because there's so much more than that.
No,
and you have
yeah.
since evolved this to not a hobby and something that you are known for. You know, people got to be known for something, whether it's podcasting, videography, owning a studio. And to see the support you get from, you know, a lot of the same people I know and from the neighborhood, it's really dope. Because
Thanks,
we don't, North End don't got rappers or like hip hop.
Metro Sing.
Yeah, that's
Dude,
true.
he's
All right.
solid.
All right,
Metro
that's true. No,
solid.
that's true. I
Metro's
actually,
solid.
I gotta take a little step back. Metro, the Saint is actually the first rapper I did see come out of there like that. I do remember
Dude,
all the
he's
SoundCloud
good.
tracks and
Good
the
guy, too.
and the CDs. Of course, shout out Metro, man. I love that guy.
Shout out Metro.
Which actually, I got to tell a quick funny story about him real quick, right? So we were down the pool one time, Maribel Pool, for those who don't know, and I went up to him because he moved to Revere, and it was when Revere had that tornado. Do you remember that shit? It was like 2014, 2015.
Yeah, I remember that.
And to sidebar that, I was actually at the start of that.
Really?
So I almost got caught in the tornado because my mom was like, we need to drive back this, the other day. I'm like, bro, you go away from the storm. You don't go back into it. It was scary as fuck because where we go into town, we drive down Broadway and go through Chelsea by SNL. So we can take the Logan and Chelsea Bridge, you know, the one that raises up and down. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, damn, it's like it's raining hard like that. It's something like that. And I look to my right, and there's a telephone pole down. I'm like, oh, this is like real shit right now.
Yeah, man, trees were ripped up.
Legit,
on the side
all
of
that
the
shit.
road,
If you remember that from Revere, you remember that. And she was like, oh my God, you know, we got to go back and stuff like that. I'm like, nah, just keep going forward, bro. Because if we went back, we would have been fucked because it hit right on Broadway. Yeah. And going down that way, we would have hit on.
You actually saw the thing?
Yeah, I looked back and I saw like, it was dead small at first.
It was like the actual
like there
thing.
was like it was almost like out of a movie. You know those portals opening in the sky or some shit like that? It almost was like that. And I looked back, I'm like, oh hell no, we're not going back into that. And it literally, like obviously the leaves on the ground were going in a circle and stuff like that. And for as dark as the clouds got, I'm like, nah, fuck that, keep going. So yeah, we literally kept going. We literally into sunny skies and shit like that. But the funny story about Metro was he was living in Revere at the time. And he goes, kid, I got all scared and stuff like that. All of a sudden, the tornado came down my street, and it went, hi, Metro, and I walked by, and he was like, what the fuck?
Oh, my God. Dude, he's funny, too.
Oh, yeah, he's fucking hilarious.
Did you see that video with C Money?
Of course, I see
He was
all
like,
the videos with C.
the Gomez Llamas.
Yeah, of course. I filmed a video of him and C Money. He was pretending to be, you know, one of those dudes who go into CVS. They take the shit and they steal it from him and shit like that. So he's like, "Hey, kid, come here, please." And he's like, "No, these are the fusions. These are like the shaving cream."
Just like him.
I mean, that's kind of easy.
Crazy.
That's kind of easy to do, I think.
Metro? I don't know.
A little bit, because it's like it's just a Boston accent. You know what I mean?
True.
And it's like, well, it's like
but you sound like your voice actually sounds
it's
like.
Hi, Metro. You know what I'm saying? What's going on, Nico? What are you doing? So yeah, that's kind of dope. But what I wanted to say off of that was, you know, you represent the North End in a very positive light, and I think that it gives kind of the kids looking up if in the North End, because we know we're known for a lot of sports, whether it's the Knights basketball team, 2016 state champs, by the way.
Really?
Yes, sir. The North End Dodgers, obviously Little League and all that stuff, but we don't have like a solid like studio recording space there. We have, in the Prado by the Elliott, there's kind of that little like, I think I've been in there like once or twice. It's that, I forget, and I actually forget what it's called. It's like a little like center. It's a lot smaller. It's like
where the fountain is?
Yeah, like right by there. And I think that's the only thing, but they don't do like hip hop or rap. They're still doing like, all the musical drums and stuff like that. So how does it feel for you to kind of represent the North End in such a positive light? And you're actually breaking away from the tradition of, the street magic stuff or the doo-wops and all the acapellas.
Well, it all goes back to like continuing my father's legacy. It's a neighborhood that needs to be, reputized the right way.
Yeah,
if that's the right word.
That is represented.
Represented in respect.
Of course.
You got to respect the neighborhood. If you have ties with the neighborhood, you always have to carry that on your shoulder, and respect it the right way. So that's No,
of course, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
That's what's in my mind.
Because just what and this is actually, I want to bring this up because this is kind of like my beef with out-of-towners who come from the North End. And this only happens with one spot. It happens with Brico. Every single time I see an influencer in the North End, they're always like, oh my God, you got to check out this hidden spot. It's down this alleyway, this thing. And the whole time it's Brico. I'm like, it's not hidden.
The Salumeria in the back?
Where they make the subs and stuff like that and all that. I'm like,
there's a sign that points down the
right,
alleyway.
Exactly, and it's not hidden.
A sign that
just because it's in an alleyway
alley.
doesn't mean it's hidden. I have friends who lives in alleyways. Is their like house like a hidden gem? It's just not a hidden gem. I get you talking to like people who want to come into the neighborhood, but I'm not that. So I'm gonna kind of call you out on it and be like, it's not hidden. And first of all, it's not even hidden. Everybody, even if you're from out of town, you know what that is.
It's fire though.
No, of course it's fire. 100%. It's great. It's great food, but like that's chicken just my thing. It's like
the chicken parm there.
Oh, of course,
solid,
delicious. I just don't like it, and when like the North End is seen as kind of like a commodity, you know what I mean? And it's and actual people live there.
I know. It's like. It's inevitable for the tourists to be there and everything like that. Course. And like, it is a commodity. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like the oldest part of Boston.
Right.
Paul Revere's house is right there.
Yeah, all the history, the Old North Church, all that
shit. It's been like that.
Yeah.
But not as much now because, the main, like 93 used to be on top and used to sectionize the whole North End away from everything else.
Right, exactly.
So it was more like a neighborhood before.
Yeah.
So, like, now that's gone,
over these last, like, decade or 20 years, it's become more accessible. Mm-hmm. Obviously, with the Big Dig, which I actually didn't even think about that. Wow, like, yeah. Because, my dad grew up there. My dad grew up on Prince Street. Mm-hmm. So, he does tell... Right, exactly.
Yeah.
He knows...
Exactly.
My dad knows your uncle and your father.
Yeah.
When I told him, it was like, oh, that's awesome.
It's a small neighborhood.
No, it really is. And that's what I love about it because, I could just... Anytime... Like, if I go from Prince Street to Faneuil Hall where I work, I'm going to be stopped, odds are, and have like a 20-minute conversation with 3 different people.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? In different sections of the freaking neighborhood.
When my grandmother used to stroll me and my sister around in the carriage, there'd be people on the steps, neighborhood people on the steps sitting down. We would stop, talk to them for like 10 minutes, and then we'd go to Parziali's, get the assorted cookies, the leaves.
The butter cookies.
The butter cookies, exactly.
And
then head back to
real quick.
The
you have their pizza though? They just dropped the
Parziali's is the best pizza.
I think so too.
I think honest to God, Umberto's and Parziali's
I was just
are probably
about to say
the
that.
top 2 places in the North End. I choose Parziali's, man.
I mean,
really, dude. Like it's like a sentimental thing. I don't know.
No, I think it's just because of where we grew up in the North End. Oh, this is unbelievable. Come on, man.
I put them 2 at the top.
I go in there and
Parziali's are Umberto's.
I go in and Umberto's all the time, and I say hi to Ralph all the time. He's always looking forward to see me and shit like that.
Exactly.
And I actually had a cool story about that. So the last time I went in there was this dude.
he might have been from like Roxbury. I think he was from Roxbury, and he hadn't been there in years. And he was like, he asked me, he goes, "Excuse me, they used to be on the corner by the library, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, like this is the same spot." It's shit like that. But what I love about Umberto's and Parziale specifically, that's
Authentic.
right?
Authentic.
Especially Parziale because they make it right in the back there. To me, I would consider Parziale's the hidden gem.
Facts, man.
I think
Facts,
that's the
man.
hidden gem.
And I've been trying to tell everybody. I like walk by Bova's. I see the line down Bova's. I'm like, go to
Right
Parziale's.
there. Come on, like literally, it's literally
Go to
right
Parziale,
there.
man.
It's literally right there. Come on, is he booing it? Come on, you can't be booing
You guys
that.
are wasting your money.
Like
you know what I'm
seriously,
saying?
and I think it's just in the era we are where everything's online and like you see the popular thing, your mind immediately goes there. But that's my message to like these food influencers and stuff like that who aren't from Massachusetts or more specifically the Boston area. Like Parziale's is the hidden gem.
Hidden gem.
Would I consider
Hands down.
Umberto's a hidden gem? No, I think it used to be. And then it kind of got even more popular than it was growing up. I mean, they've had a line out the door always, no matter what. I always see a line out the door. I call in. That's why. That you got to call in. That's the trick. That's the trick. You got to call in because there's a certain satisfaction with walking past that line of people and going up again the food and taking it out. I think there's a certain satisfaction in that regard. But yeah, so that's why we just love the neighborhood like that. You know what I mean?
The authenticity of it, man.
Right. It is. It's the authenticity. Absolutely.
It's like, especially when you grew up having that around you, it's like the most warming feeling.
Yeah.
When you just like get back into the neighborhood.
It
you know
really
what I'm
is.
saying?
Like I almost feel like if you get into some shit downtown and like you got to get out of there. Just that the minute you walk onto like Hanover Street or wherever the hell you live, you just feel safe. You know what I mean?
100%, man.
We don't get a lot of like action per se in terms of like the bad stuff. So that's why it's good. It's just and my dad has talked about this. Like he can never go back and live there from where he
That's what
he's
my dad
living
said.
now.
He said he'll never go back to the North End.
And I get it. I get it.
I get it too, man.
Part of me like wants
It's a sad thing,
Part of me still wants to live there. Like at least, I mean, my grandmother's place, I go there all the time. I have the keys. I go walk in right there. But to actually like live there, it would mean a lot to me, I feel like. Because the first 3 months when I was born, my parents lived like down the street from my grandparents' house. So kind of, where the laundromat is?
Lavanderia?
Yeah, Lavanderia. Yeah. They were like on that corner, kind of by Regina.
Okay, so on the corner of Thatcher and
Right.
Prince.
Right.
Where North Margin is?
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
they were like right there. And then they moved to Revere because it's like, I mean, now it's dead expensive, regardless of what it is. The apartment the size of this room is like $3,000 a month.
I know. That's our apartments.
Right, exactly. That's how it is.
It's crazy, man.
And to see it like that kind of sucks because now we're getting the influx of like, college students and like the real yuppies who,
It's probably the most
I don't know,
sought after place to live.
I would say
if you want
after.
a community based neighborhood, to be like either grow a family, like go to school, anything like that, you want to feel like a community vibe, like the North End's the place.
Well,
to
I mean,
go.
I went to St. John's and right after school I went to the Nazar Center, so that's how I felt that community vibe. And like, they didn't have to pick me up; I could walk there. So me being like 10 years old, kind of going out in the world by myself, I still like would know where to go. And I think that's a big part of like a child's development is having that like taste of independence where
man.
You got to have, you got to be at certain places, but go there by yourself. Don't always have mom and daddy walking your hand there. You're in the
you don't need that,
right?
Like
exactly. The North End drives home the idea as a child that you're safe there because everybody's there.
I could go play in the gassy,
That's
shoot
it.
some hoops, and then just
That's
go
it.
right back to my
That's
my
it.
grandmother's.
It's so simple. Like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Right. And actually, it's cool because I'm becoming a member of St. Anthony's this year.
Are you?
Yeah. So that's
Good for
like,
you.
So in my way, that's carrying on my personal father's legacy because he's a member. I have St. Anthony was my first tattoo right on this shoulder, right around this arm. And I think about it a lot, I mean, I was destined to become a member. Throughout my early teenage years, every Sunday I was in that club watching Patriots football. You know, we were making food for the Super Bowl. I watched the freaking Malcolm Butler interception in there. You know what I mean? I watched part of 28-3 in there, and then he took me back to college and I watched the rest there. You know, but that's why when the feasts come around, and that kind of drives back into my head.
Dude, those are the best memories.
Because that's what
plain
it is.
and simple.
It's just like, and now
dude, like being on my grandmother's steps,
Right.
my dad would put me on his shoulders and put the dollar bill on the saint.
Right.
When it went by, you know, it's just like those memories. Like when you go down those streets, they flash back.
Right, exactly. And like, you know, me actually marching with the Saint. I've marched a couple times. I haven't in years past, but now that I'm a member, you know, I'm getting back into it.
Mm-hmm.
It just, I can't even like describe it. You know what I mean? I can't even like describe how it just makes me feel as a person. It just, obviously I'm safe, but like just seeing everybody I know where I may not see them for like months at a time, but now we're here, you know, and now I can, you know, get a drink and shit like that. Obviously, when I'm a kid, you know, they don't let you. But yeah, it's just, it's so cool, and it's just awesome to have that on your shoulders where like, you know, you can go wherever you want in the world, but you can always come back home.
And we're all friends too.
Right, exactly.
You know?
Everybody's
like
a lifelong
hangs
friend.
out.
That's
you know?
it. Everybody's on the corner. Everybody's either at, you know, the Flamingo, the Florentine, wherever the fuck they may be.
Where you going tonight? Oh, we're meeting up with, you know what I'm
That's
saying?
it.
Yeah.
You know, Modern Underground. I'm glad they turned that into a bar.
And everybody got everybody's back.
Right. That's a big
That's
thing
probably
too.
the most important thing.
Right. And I like how people from there are described as like neighborhood kids. You know what I mean?
We want to take care of it.
Right. Exactly.
We hate seeing people who are out of the neighborhood destroy that beautiful place.
Right. I mean, that was big with the feasts when all these kids from out of town were coming like
the
that.
Stabbings.
All that
Oh
shit.
my
You know what I
God,
mean?
man.
I remember like
The rink.
the rink and
Starbucks.
and Slide Park. Slide Park was the biggest one. I remember, this is a crazy story, right? It was 2017, yeah, because I was dating my then girlfriend at the time. It was like, I describe it as like the Spartans versus the Persians type shit, where like it was the North End and a couple of other like cities, like Seatown or East or wherever the fuck. And like they were at the top of the stairs. There was a huge gap. No one was there. At the bottom of the stairs was like a whole group from like Reading and out of town and shit like that.
Is this the flights?
No, it's the where behind the cemetery. What's the name of it? Cops Hill.
Oh,
that
Cops
part,
Hill. Okay,
that overlooking the baseball fields.
Yep.
Yeah, it was there. And I'm like, me, him, and you know a bunch of other people just standing on the bench, and then one of our boys was getting into it and stuff like that. So we
Wait, no.
What?
Was it that time? Do you know what time he's talking about?
Yeah.
Because I almost got jumped.
Yeah.
And I saw Timmy, and he's like, yo, it was crazy.
Yeah. No, it's like they went after just North End kids, and like everybody always had it. Like we was pulling people off of each other. We was like preventing shit. Like I never personally got into like a scuffle with anybody. I was always just trying to like pull like other people off of people. But yeah, like that's why it was a little like nerve wracking during at the time, because you never wanted to be by yourself around those areas. You wanted to at least make sure a person you knew was in like.
You didn't want to go alone.
No, you didn't want to go alone.
You needed a group.
And if you went alone, you had to like sneak behind people to make sure you were in that group.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So, but yeah, that's what it was growing up around there. I mean, obviously they've taken it a step further where like they're not allowing like
minors into
minors
the
and
feasts
shit. Which,
now. They're checking IDs.
I mean,
it's like
I understand why, and I kind of agree with it because like just from what has happened post pandemic.
I don't know what happened. It blew up.
But
what was it last year that it like
2 years ago?
2 years? It's just like
ago. It did, yeah. Where they were like getting threatened to like never
up.
have them again.
Oh my God, man.
Personally, never having them again is not an option. They always have to happen. You know, so that's why all these steps have to be taken.
Yeah.
Because
it stopped for 2 years because of COVID, right? Was it 2 years?
I think it was 2 years. I think they just did
That's
the procession
probably
from
why
2020
everybody
to
was
2021.
waiting to go back to the feasts.
Right.
They were here. Oh, you remember the feasts in the summer? They're
But
coming
what was
back.
crazy
I don't
was from 2017 to like 2021, all the beefs kind of stopped. Like there
Very
was
true.
people from like, you know, they were in the usual spots, but no one was like fighting and shit like that. And then I don't know what happened.
But that one crowd fought the band for St. Anthony's.
That's right.
I saw Sal Cuccinello
Yeah, that's
come
right.
back home. I was walking out of my apartment. He was
right.
coming back.
Yeah.
He had an egg on his head. I
Yeah.
was like, what happened?
Right.
He
And
goes,
I- and
yeah,
actually,
people just rush the stage.
That was the year before they did the BPD there because of that. Like, while they were coming down Endicott Street, like, even my dad was telling me, we had to, like, push these kids out of the way because they weren't listening to us to move. Like, they would, like, actively break balls like that. So, yeah, that's just the shit of it. And, I mean, to have those checkpoints, I think, is necessary so we prevent shit like that.
Definitely.
But honestly, it just starts with the parents. You know what I
Facts.
mean? It's like, where you going tonight? You know, if you're going there, like, don't do the shit you do. Because the only other way to stop that is you have...
Did that stop us from when we were growing up?
No, of course not.
course not,
Because
like-
we never had the checkpoints, though.
True.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
we never
true.
had the shit. We never had that shit. But still, for lack of a better term, we're on our
Yeah,
best
yeah, yeah.
behavior. You know what I mean? Right.
I know, I
We-
get
you
that.
know, it was that type of shit. But, like...
We did some crazy.
We did. Of course we do. We always do crazy shit. I remember there was one weekend of Agrippina. One of my friends thought it was Friday Night SmackDown every night because literally there was a fight. It was
Yeah,
whether
yeah,
it was between a guy and a girl, a guy and a guy or a girl and a girl. They were just a fight. You know, so that's why it's like. But even the thing, if there's a fight, you're just like in the corner looking at it like, ah, shit, you know, that's fucking crazy type shit. But yeah, but that's why I'm glad I could have these conversations on my platform about someone who understands it, because there's a lot of people who watch this show that don't. And I've mentioned, you know, being from the North End and like having this on my wall. Obviously, people get it by now, but to actually like tell the story of like what it's like,
Yeah.
they just don't get it. And that's fine. I don't get what
the
it's like
roots,
growing up.
man. It's the roots.
Right, exactly.
It's like seeing how your parents came up. Like, my family's been there for like 100 years.
Yeah.
You know, like since the early 1900s.
I think my grandmother and grandfather moved in there in like the 50s.
Yeah, that's
Something
when my
like that, right?
grandfather bought the house. My
Right,
great-grandfather
exactly. Right
bought
on
the
Prince.
house.
Yeah, and it's always
Yeah.
been Prince Street.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, and I remember what was cool about St. Anthony's was we took a trip to Italy to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the feast because it was 1919. At that point, it was 2019. And, you know, it was all people who from my building that my father knew and obviously I knew. I wouldn't, since I never lived there, I never considered myself, someone called it the 126 Prince All-Stars. I get it because of the roots, but like, just because I always say to people this. I say, I just live in Revere. I like exist in the North End, if that makes sense. You know,
Yeah.
I obviously went to Revere High, but I never hung around Revere. I never like after school with people. I just went right home, or it was like if we stayed probably an hour after school, it was just at the school. I never like went to like all the different spots that people hung out with. It never made sense to me in a way, you know, because it's like I know where my like. I mean, they're
You
my
know where
friend-
you're from.
Right, exactly. I know where I'm from, and I know where like I'm like safe.
Yeah.
Like even if we were to go get into some shit, I still know I'm safe there.
Because everybody got your back.
Right, exactly. That's
You
it.
know?
So yeah, that's why it's important that you doing what you're doing, and you know I'm doing what doing, because the creative process and the creativity you create, where it's being your own artist or being a platform, and just having that neighborhood on your back. It's just important because, you know, I've talked to people from Dorchester, Roxbury, Mattapan. They say the same thing. So I just look at it from that perspective, and I get it. That's why I get it. Obviously, growing up's different, you know, over there. You know, they may not get the same luxuries that we had, but it's still like, you know, when you say you're from Boston, it's like, all right, we're in Boston.
Yeah.
So
And it's awesome to see Simone. Like,
it really
just,
is.
you
He's
know,
coming
like,
up here soon.
He's coming.
He's coming on the plane.
You gotta get him
yeah,
on.
no, he's asked me soon. I've been thinking about it. Yeah, obviously I want him on. Don't get me wrong. He's personally asked me too, but yeah, it's just right. He's
he's showing us the way, kind of.
Right.
You know, he's like
From that different
It's
avenue.
possible. It's
Right,
definitely possible.
exactly.
And if I'm able to do that in the music sense, man, like, you know, that's an honor.
Well, I think, and I think to go on that, it's cool because, and, you know, you can explain obviously to the good people watching, say that how you take these steps as an artist. So if something's not there, you make it. Like you just made your own studio. So, you know, definitely tell us about that right there.
Yeah, man. It was, you know, me and my dad always had that in the back of our minds because he wanted to do his own music shit. He knows that I'm doing my music stuff, and you know, I started working and we started investing, putting stuff into equipment, finished our basement off, You know, created a little studio, got all the equipment, set it all up. Shout out to DJ Most Wanted. He helped us do everything. He told us what to get. And yeah, like now it's fully functioning. It's all about a matter of just using it. Right. And, you know, like working a 9 to 5, you know.
Of course.
Your life gets in the way. Yeah. You stop realizing what you need to prioritize the best.
So to go off that, how do you find the balance in that? Because I've had that convo with a couple of people, but I'm curious in your sense, now that you have your own studio, how you're able to kind of balance, you know, the working life and the music life.
It's hard to balance. I don't think you can balance it. I think it's all mindset, you know, because balance can be taken into like different, you know, things like, okay, you need a day off. Right? You stay home and chill when you get home from work. Right. Oh, I got to do this. I got to do that. Right. You know, I'm chilling with my girlfriend, et cetera, et cetera. So it's like, it's not really balanced. You're always going to be doing something, but it's about like prioritizing it. Like in my heart, I want to be doing that every single day if I could. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to work 8 hours a day. Like, but it all comes to like, what time do you have in that moment? Do you want to prioritize that? Or no. And that's what it comes down to, in my opinion.
So more priority than is balance.
Priority than balance. Because there's no way to balance life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you need a day off. That's called balance. Right. When you feel like you need a day off, when you need to relax, that's balance. Yeah. But other than that, it's grind, man. You just got to keep grinding.
Right. And because I've seen a lot of artists give up. You know, whatever their motivations for doing so are their own. But in a way, it hurts to just know someone personally and be like, you know, why aren't you dropping music now? It's like, if you fall out of love with it, I totally get it. I was off this for 18 months and I fell out of love with podcasting, but there was just something that gave me the kick to be like, all right, you know, you have to make this happen. Because for the longest time, I was relying on other people to make it happen for me, and that was like one of my like toxic traits. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, it just can't anymore. You know, it's like 18 months is so long that I see this every single time, but it's just because of how like messed up it is that I even said it. Like, I was at work one day and I was like, fuck this shit. Like, you know, all that. And I just put a story that's like, say that's never coming back. And now look where we're at. You
exactly.
know, it's
something
humbling.
Clicks.
It really does. Like something like really clicks, and you can't even describe what it is. It's like, it's literally just an instantaneous feeling where you're like, you may be just sitting at work and you're like, it's a job you've had for such a long time. You're like, damn, this sucks.
Yeah.
I want to get back into this shit. And that was mine, you know, it's the building connections. It's having people in your network that like you can almost go to help make that dream happen.
Yeah.
So I know for you, you've been to like Phoenix Downs and stuff like that, which is dope because I know
that's where I first started recording.
That's where you first started. What year was that?
2021.
Okay. Right.
2020, 2020.
Yeah,
that's when I first started like actually recording my songs.
So you know Josh Schubeck and shit like that,
of course.
Right? Yeah, great.
Yeah, he produced 2 of my songs.
That's what's up.
Yeah,
that's what's up.
Like produced, like he's the one who like came up with the beat. We did it in the studio. And they're great songs.
Right, of course.
You know, like
you don't. Hey, listen.
That's my opinion.
You don't drop bad songs. No, listen. He doesn't drop bad songs.
Everybody's gonna have their own opinion, but in my opinion, the songs that he produced for me, they're like the best ones I have. So like I'm holding them. You know, going back on that, I just want to say like going back to like prioritizing and stuff like that. You got to do what you can. Yeah. Basically, you have to have the goal in mind, understand your situation. And in the moments and in the time that you can do something, you got to do what you can. But also have patience, you know. Yeah. Keep going is the most important thing.
Of course.
So I just want to say that.
Because, you know, and Terminology said this on 2 episodes ago, it's a long game. Yeah. You know, it just, if you get it overnight, I feel like that's the worst thing for some people because you can't maintain that. If
you didn't mentally prepare first for it.
Yes.
In my opinion.
Right, exactly.
Like if you didn't, like I took like 4 years before I started. No, I took even longer than that, man. I dropped my first song in 2022 and I started writing in 2016. Yeah. So what is that? 6 years of practicing, writing songs, figuring out which one's the best before I started putting stuff out. Yeah. because like quantity is quality.
Yes,
You know, quantity is quality.
absolutely.
You got to work as hard as you can to get the best sounding music until you're ready to release it. That's what's going to give you the most confidence in order to keep pushing.
Amen.
You know,
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, it's good that, you know, hearing that from like an independent artist who's like, you know, I mean, okay, so that's 3 years, you know, since your first single.
yeah.
And to where you are now, you know, there's listening to your music, there's a lot more of that confidence in it. Like, you know, I would imagine, you know, I don't know if you ever like done like a live performance like on a stage, but like that's what it sounds like when I hear it. It's like that confidence to like you could, you know, rock like a Rolling Loud or some festival like that. So from this time period, you know, for this last 3 years, like what are you learning or still learning about the music industry? Because I remember when we were out that one night, you told me about like, you know, investing your time into like advertisements to really put your shit out there. And I feel like, you know, that's helped me to like, first of all, just get my following up, but also to like push my art and freestyles
Yeah.
to just all different people across the country.
What was the question again?
So like, what are like kind of the lessons you've learned in that 3-year time frame to now of just being this artist and actually like, okay, I took those 6 years and now I'm really rolling with it.
You can't rely on anybody else but yourself.
Amen to that. I'll stamp that.
You can't rely on anybody else but yourself. And that's in every single aspect of music and life, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To get what you want and to get what you know you deserve, you have to do it yourself.
Right. Because, I mean, it is good to have a network of people. It is good to know people like that. But, like, in a way, you kind of have to prove to them that you want this. Because some people are willing to help you. It's just, are you willing to help yourself? You know, if you're not, then those people can't do nothing for you.
You can't rely on a manager. Like, I'm nothing right now. I'm nothing. You know, I'm not famous. I'm not nothing. I got a few, 1,000 monthly listeners, but that's it. I'm not making money from this. I'm not nothing. But, like, I know you got to know, like, how other people got to where they were to understand, like, the formula of how to get there. Yeah. And just knowing that will be your confidence, and then all of, knowing that it's it's inevitable if you follow that formula. It's all about patience after that.
Right.
Because
it does suck how some episodes or, like, even songs, and I've talked to artists about this, that you think would pop, that didn't, and the ones that you don't expect to do. I've seen that happen a myriad of times, and it's
that
wild.
happened to me.
It's wild.
I dropped Habitual first.
Yep.
That was my, I hate that song. Yeah. And I knew I hated it when I dropped it, but I dropped it first because it was a decent hook, a very catchy hook, and it was a good song to just get out there.
Right.
I needed to start somewhere.
Right.
And then I dropped Better Life, and I thought none of that song. It was just like a filler song, just to add to the, catalog. That's ended up being my most streamed song. Right. It's almost at like 70,000 streams.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. And I can relate to that too, because I look back at past podcasts, like when we started, it was literally like, I don't even know how to describe it in a way that makes sense to now, because it's like, we were just throwing shit at a fan and hoping it sticked. Like, literally, for the first 3 podcasts, we were doing, like, sound effects, introduce segments. It felt too talk showish. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It felt like too, like, radio showish. And if you're in a podcast platforming world, there's a difference kind of between a radio show and a podcast. You got to do certain things on the radio show. You got to talk about certain stuff, because those interviews are 15, 30 minutes tops. These are like hour and a half long. At least I like to keep them that way. I've seen, people drop 2-3 hour podcasts.
Joe Rogan.
Right, exactly, that type of shit. If that's what you're into, if that's what you like, I get that. I totally get that, because I was on the Joe Rogan kick for a while. 3
hours, man.
Right.
Of talking.
And it could be with just like, he obviously brings in people but it could just be some random that like has a following that you just never heard of.
Mm-hmm.
So you just got to appreciate the journey in that sense. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day.
Exactly.
Because, I mean, this podcast was on SoundCloud from episodes 1 through 8. We were still trying to find, like, how do I get on Apple Podcasts? How do I get on Spotify? Like, that took 8 weeks. And then it took another 8 weeks to actually like get a camera to record ourselves at. And then that, you know, it
Trust
just,
the process.
It was just so freaking crazy because that's why I'm glad I have, you know, shout out to Mike Scarfo, I have a 1s and 2s guy who can check the cameras, because literally if we were still at Staples in downtown by City Hall, because they have that's where we started, I literally would be like, all right, it's a half hour, and it's like, oh, hold that thought, I gotta go check the camera. It broke up the conversation so much, but that's why I'm thankful for the people that worked with us, wanted to work again with us being here. But, you know, do I hate some podcast episodes from past ones? Absolutely. Did I have to do it because you have to stay consistent?
It's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? But the main thing that you got to know is, like, you're going to grow. You're going to get better.
Of course.
Started, like, dude, the songs that I started writing when I first started, they were so bad, man. Cringy, like they were so bad. That's why I didn't put anything out. Because I knew. You got to know.
Yeah.
You know? But also understand that evolution is inevitable. If you keep going, you will learn with something that clicks along the way.
And actually, I used to drop songs on SoundCloud, and I thought I was so cool.
No way.
Like, what?
Did you actually?
100%. This raps on me on SoundCloud.
Oh,
I mean, there's
go.
one that I could pull up immediately, but there's like a whole other profile of just like freestyles that we were just fucking around. We're like, oh yeah, we could actually do this. We actually got it. Let me tell you, I don't want to hear none of it.
Play something right now.
I don't got it. No, I got one. I could pull up one song, and I will later. But like, oh man, it was just, that's how I knew music wasn't for me. I was like, I can talk about it more than I can actually do it.
But it meant something to you.
At the time it did, yes. Because it instilled, whether it was false confidence or true confidence, to be like, I'm not scared to put like my voice and like, you know, not really my personal life, but like my creative side out there.
Yeah.
And I feel like more people just got to realize that, like,
the more you do something, the more confidence you're gonna gain.
And just start.
Yeah.
All right. Is it gonna suck? Of course it does. Like, not to be a nihilist, but like everything sucks. You know what I'm saying? But just do it.
Facts.
If you don't do it, then like you would never figured out that you wanted to do it in the first place. Mm-hmm. So that's what I just tell people. Even if like you want to rap now and you're my age, it's do it, dog. Like, you know what I mean?
Do it.
You know, you at least should have the knowledge of what to do.
Yeah, understand the situation.
Right.
You know? And just have fun with it. That's the basic thing. Don't I don't know, man.
No, and I tell people a lot, like, Boston's a well-connected, like, network. Like,
very well connected.
When I started the podcast page, and, you know, I was following who I followed, you know, a lot of people from the neighborhood in Revere were following me, which I appreciate, because some of those people were from high school I hadn't talked to in a while. But, like, a lot of it was, like, artists from here. A lot of it was,
dude,
like...
Boston influencing, like, influencers in Boston didn't start until, like, 3 years ago.
Right.
It's
still a brand new thing.
It's like, but everybody else, like L.A., New York, they had influencers,
right.
Like,
they were on the
blowing
game
up
already.
Social media.
Right.
There was none in Boston.
Right. There legitimately wasn't. Like, I mean, obviously with the advent of TikTok and that becoming a thing that made it that way. But put it this way, when I started, you couldn't collab with people on posts.
Yeah.
You couldn't like Reels was just starting to be a thing. Like, if you posted a video and it was like an hour or something, not an hour. If it was like a minute 50, 2 minutes, people would engage with it, but it wouldn't feel like, it shouldn't feel like clickbaity, but it should feel like the honest conversation that you want to put out there. And like, you know, I didn't have editing skills for shit at all. I learned that from Mike Scarfo too. Shout out him again. But the game just evolved from when I started to now, and it's going to continue to. So how do you evolve with it?
You'll figure it out if you keep going.
Right.
It's just all a matter of just keep going, you know?
Absolutely.
Like something clicked for Simone, right? Tommy Guarino, Prosciutto Papi, everything, it takes a while to grow until something finally clicks,
right?
You know?
Yeah. And it's good. And obviously they have built their respective fan bases, so you got to look at that and be like, all right. And the other thing too
shout
is...
out C Money. That's Simone.
Shout out, yeah. Okay. C Money, C_money_617 on the gram. you have to look at people as if it's like, I can do that too. Because when I started to do this solo, I was dead nervous at first because it's like, can I hold that conversation? And I've since developed that skill to get better at it. Because when we had, at one point, we had 4 different guests. We started with 3, then it was 4, and then there would be points where it's like, I'm not even getting my words off. Like, my mom would listen and be like, you didn't really talk that much. And I was like, damn, like, that's just an episode wasted. Like, It's like, I can't waste that time anymore. I can't do that. So when I kind of got the go-ahead, it really wasn't I got the go-ahead, but it was just the motivation in me to be like, do this by yourself. Because I look, Joe Rogan, he did this all by himself, at least from a hosting standpoint. He's the one having the conversations. The people behind the camera are just looking up shit for him. So
I had no idea who he was before the podcast.
I kind of didn't
no
either.
idea.
I had heard him on UFC, and I thought he just did
Like
that.
he
That
did
was my
Fear
thing.
Factor. I used to watch Fear Factor
With hair.
Yeah,
He was a
Yeah.
hair Joe Rogan. Yeah, he's
I
from
know.
here too.
I don't
which is
remember
cool.
him being the host though.
Yeah, he was the host. I never watched
never
Fear
knew
Factor,
that. Yeah.
so I only knew it. I only knew of him from like, because I'm more into UFC now than I was back then.
And he's from here.
Yeah, no, he's from Dana White's from here
Yeah.
too. Actually, you want to know something
crazy.
about Dana White? He had,
Ties with Whitey.
but Whitey was gonna kill him,
I know, and he fled.
and he fled to Vegas and started the UFC.
Yeah.
So imagine that. That's how that shit started. And people like don't know that. I'm like,
Didn't he tell the story?
Yes.
On Joe Rogan?
I don't think it was on Joe Rogan. He did do an interview because there's a section of his Wikipedia page where he does talk about that. Yeah. And I was telling people, I'm like, yeah, like that was Boston back then. Like if you didn't pay like whatever they wanted you to pay, like they were gonna come after you.
My dad said that there was someone floating in the Charles River every week
Yeah.
growing up.
Right. Yeah. That's why when people were jumping in there, just realized that like,
That he literally said that.
yeah, just like realize like, okay, like it's cool, but like that shit's got like dead body stench still in it, potentially. For whatever's underneath there. You know what I mean?
So many crimes uncovered.
Right. And that's the other thing I kind of would like to see change about Boston because, you look at all these movies, they're just about like one or two of the same thing. Like obviously there's the Black Mass movie with Johnny Depp, but there's like The Town and The Departed. I'm not saying those are bad movies.
I mean, the fantasies.
Right, exactly.
They're nonfiction.
They're nonfiction, right.
Wait, no. They are fiction.
No, they're fiction, right?
fiction.
Fiction's the fake
They're
one, right?
fictional.
I always get that confused too. Fiction, because it's like just call it fake, or just call it like fake, because I want to know the difference between fantasy and fiction. I guess
Yeah.
it's all.
They're
but-
made up, but like,
but that
there's
shit
nothing about
has
the history.
happened, right?
The other history, like the Angelos. There's no
There's
no
nothing about
movie
that.
about that.
No, absolutely not. And I've actually like driven by that house in Nahant, and
you?
they still have the watchtower.
Oh, really?
That house still has that watchtower because that watchtower was actually used during like World War II because that used to be a submarine base. It might still be one.
Really?
Because down the street from it is blocked off by the government for like marine research and all that
Plum
shit.
Island? I know Plum's like part of Plum
No,
Island.
part of Plum Island is, but in Nahant, it's kind of like in the back of Nahant. So kind of where you overlook the South Shore.
Okay.
A little down the street from like Bailey's Hill. Mm-hmm. Like it's literally one road and you go, then you got to take a U-turn by the 43 steps. You ever hear
Okay.
that? The Angelos house is like right on the corner in the back and you can see the watchtower. And then there's a marine research facility that's literally like, you can't get in obviously unless you're certified.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what's back there. Definitely. But my whole thing with like, mobster movies and like bank robbery movies about Boston, it's like I feel like the city has a lot more to offer than just that in terms of like Hollywood value or like, other shit.
I mean, like I would say the last 5 years, movies have been popping up in Boston like left and right.
Yeah. There's some
They
like,
just like Sydney Sweeney just filmed a movie here, right?
That's right. Robert Pattinson's and Diary one. Yep.
Yep, exactly. And like the one with Matt Damon and Casey Affleck with the
Oh, yeah, yeah.
comedy. They
Yeah.
filmed it in Bovis.
Oh no shit, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I never
remember
seen
that?
it.
They had
I never
tank
seen.
outside of Bovis. Timmy, you remember
Oh,
that?
I do remember that because that got posted online. Yeah, that's right. And like, why
Yeah.
the fuck is there a tank in front of Bovis?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, I would like to see that kind of narrative change where it's cool to remember that history. All that stuff's certainly entertaining. It's cool, but like, there's just more to offer. I mean, whatever parts of Boston it is, I just feel like we're such more than like a mobster bank robber city. And don't get me, I remember seeing the town get filmed right in the library when they're doing that chase scene where they go right through the north end. I seen that. Ben Affleck was right there. He
My
was
uncle was in that.
Right,
He's one of the car drivers on
sick.
the Charlestown
That's
Bridge.
fucking sick.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, that's because just being in the creative space I'm in, I know we have more to offer than that. So that's a gripe, but that's just something I would like to see changed in the years come. Totally. But so you've talked about obviously your relatively new career in music. However, you've still been very it's meticulous with it.
Yeah. Still in the works, man.
So what is kind of like the next steps to get that kind of finished, to get that kind of keep going, actually, I should say, that you believe personally?
The next steps, man. There's too much, man. It's like you can get signed. Like, how do you get signed? Right. I don't know how the fuck. I mean, like, you see how other people get signed, but it's about getting noticed. That's the most important thing. It's about getting noticed. And in order to get noticed, content. You got to post, you got to post, you got to post. I don't got the time to post every single day.
I don't want to be looking at my phone all day.
I don't want to be looking at my phone all day. And then it's just like you got to spam all your followers to go check your most recent post. Yeah. That takes time, man.
That does.
And then so it's all about dedication, prioritizing, going back to being patient, but keep going with what you can do.
Right.
I got work.
I work. I got school.
I work a 9 to 5,
right.
man.
I'm job hunting. I graduated May, but I've been on this job hunt for as long as I can remember. And it's fucking demoralizing. Don't get me wrong, but it's like you said, it's the priority shit. Like, all right, does the pod come first right now? Yeah. Will it have to go on the back burner? Maybe. I think back burner is a strong word. Will it have to come second? Maybe not. But that's just it. It's figuring out your way in this digital content era. I think is because I don't like the term content creator. I think you're either like a comedian or like you're a makeup artist or you're like a chef. I just think content creation is too broad of a term for us to keep using in the vernacular. That it needs to just narrow down and be something else. Because anyone can film whatever they want on YouTube and call themselves a content creator.
That's why you got to rely on yourself.
Right.
It's all about yourself and what you can do.
Right.
Can't trust anybody.
Exactly. And like you said, you figured that out as you go along. Like, you don't have the answers at first. I thought I did, and I didn't. I was like, you don't have the answers, Sway. I don't have the answers, Pete. Like, no, you don't. So that whole journey, from episode 1 to now, this is episode 97. It's like I used to drop every week. We was in Staples one day. We did 4 episodes in one day, and I would say, I mean personally, I think they're all good, but just by the 4th episode, you're so demoralized and you're so shot down that I remember, and I got to give a shout out to Mike Scarver for allowing me this opportunity. I gave a presentation to his podcasting workshop at Thurgood Marshall Middle School in Lynn. It was an after-school program that a bunch of, middle schoolers are learning the podcasting game and the trade. And that's why, Mike, I'm going to give you flowers right now for that because you're doing a very good job. You're a great teacher, by the way. I got to say. I like how you handle the kids and stuff like that. You're a great teacher. And, we need to allow that kind of younger generation to see that these routes are possible for them. Because all of my college career, I didn't even think I'd be doing this. Dead serious.
I wish I was told what I know now when I was 5.
Right, exactly.
When I was 6. Even though I was mad young to even understand this shit.
No, but
I was still embedding that into my 6-year-old mind.
I was talking to the middle schoolers as if they're my age.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there were some terms I had to rephrase because obviously I didn't know it, but I mentioned SEOs. I mentioned, how to schedule your stuff. I mentioned stockpiling content. You can't really keep this stuff inside. You can't just keep it to yourself. If people want to know, put it out there,
Facts.
So I imagine that somewhere down the line, you're going to give this younger generation, your process and what happened. It's just, that's how we keep these industries going. That's how we keep these independent artists or podcasts or platform producers. That's how you keep it going throughout, your whole life. Because, you may not blow up until you're 45. Let's just say that, right? Okay, you still
If I'm
have
still doing this at 40.
right, exactly.
You know what
right.
I'm saying?
I've thought about
45.
that too. Trust me, I've thought. Trust me, I've thought about
Like-
that too. Yeah, about what age I want to stop that at. I think I have an idea, but we'll see. See how it goes.
I said 27. I'd stop doing music if I don't make it by 27.
give yourself to,
But
like-
I'm here. Like I
yeah.
turned 27 this month.
Okay, good.
It's crazy.
Give yourself.
It's all about
the.
but like I'm not doing that for the goal to make it one day. I mean, like one day, like if I'm 38 and I have one song just finally hit, you know,
Yeah.
it gains the recognition. I make money from that song. Great.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
You
But now
could-
it's more like therapy.
Oh,
It's more like therapy and a hobby for me.
definitely right.
And just expect the unexpected. You know,
100%,
one
absolutely.
day you can blow up at any time.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's my thing with blowing up at any time. You still have that whole catalog of shit to go through.
Yep.
If you're a fan of that. That's why I like to market this podcast as a very bingeable podcast. Because I have 96 other episodes that you can go and listen to with all different types of artists and all different people that you can find out, okay, do I like this guy or not? Do I like this girl or not? So you just gotta just keep doing it. That's it. I mean, definitely pump out the content, but pump it out in a way that like is sustainable for you and that doesn't take a whole lot out of you.
Quality.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if it isn't quality, then let's just keep it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just keep it.
My whole feed would be nuts if I was able to like post every single day.
Right.
You know?
And people don't even like to be annoyed like that. You know what I mean? Think
Like,
about it.
that's
Think
like-
about it from your
that
perspective.
goes through my
right.
head. Yeah,
right.
exactly. Like
It's
I don't
like-
want to be annoying to people.
No, right. And I don't want to be annoyed by people. I want to actually like you. Like if you overexpose yourself, like there's a lot of influence where I've just hit on their thing. Like I'm not interested because it's like I see you everywhere. I get it. Like you know what I mean? And I get you're doing it to like attract a newer crowd, maybe, or like give the fans what they want. But like I've seen the song and dance 1,000 times. It's like I'm done. Like I put it this way. Like a good example of that is The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, right?
Yeah.
So the reason why he's back in WWE right now is because
I saw him at the gym.
did you watch him?
Boston Sports Clubs in Linfield.
No shit,
Bro,
huge.
he fucking scared the shit
Right.
out of me, man.
Because he's this giant, like 6'5", jacked guy.
Dude, listen to this. I get to the gym at 5 a.m.
Right.
He was filming Central Intelligence.
Okay.
So I get to the gym. I'm like beat tired, a little hallucinated. I'm just kidding. But I sit down at a bench and I look up and there's this massive guy, this bald guy. I didn't even think it was Dwayne Johnson, doing dips on the bench press rack. That's how big his wingspan is.
Holy shit. Oh my
Like
god.
it was crazy. He was doing dips on the bench, like the poles that hold the
Yeah.
actual bar up. He was using that, and I was like, "Oh my god, that's The Rock." And he looked pissed off. You know how like in some of his videos, like he acts like he's pissed at himself in the mirror.
Right.
That's what he looked like.
That's
so I was like scared shit. I didn't want to say anything. I looked back down, and then that was it. I didn't see him again.
Right. Yeah. I mean
was
that
crazy.
because he's an intimidating figure.
Yeah.
But to go back to the overexposure part, like he just did a lot of movies just to do them and obviously to get the money and shit like that. But people are sick of him. They were like, dude, make an actual good movie.
Like he's the same character in every
And
movie.
like there literally is no difference from the movies he made from like 2012 to like I'd probably say Black Adam came out like 2 years ago till then, so 2020.
Yeah.
There's just no difference.
He has like no like
He has
dramas.
no range. He has no range. That's the
Everything's action with him.
Right.
Because he's
and
friggin'
that's why he
huge,
went
bro.
back to WWE and why he's on the board of TKO because that's
He's
what-
back in W.
Yeah, he's on the.
Is he actually?
Yeah, like the TK. So TKO owns UFC and WWE. He's on the board of that.
Okay.
So he's like, he's gonna be at WrestleMania. Like him and John Cena just linked up. They're down the bad guys now. So but my main thing is he went back to what works for him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to find out what works for you and stick with that and not overexpose yourself in that sense. He was trying to do too many stuff. XFL, get into superhero movies, being at like the Indy 500 or shit like that. Like that's too much.
Yeah.
People are sick of you at that point.
Yeah.
So go back to what works for you. And he is. And everybody fucking loves it.
No, definitely.
So
Yeah.
it's like, that's
Stick with what works and keep going.
That's the shit. You know what I'm saying? Of course. But we're now at that point in the episode where I like to ask the guests, if there's anybody you want to give a shout out to or like some final words you want to give the audience, like definitely like say your piece, keep it now.
It was an honor to be on.
I appreciate you coming on. I needed
boy.
this. You know what I'm saying? Come on.
Shout out to my dad, my mom. the North End. Yeah, man. Thank you for having me.
Of course, I love it. Now, where can the good people say that find you on platforms?
So it's at official Nico. So that's at 0FFICIALNICO.
Now, do you not use your last name for a specific reason, or do you just want to be called Nico?
I just want to be called Nico. It's easier. Yeah. Nico Gennari. I don't know.
I don't know. I like that. You, know
You
what
like
I'm saying?
that?
I like Nico Gennari a lot.
I'll think about it.
100%.
All right.
Because like I'm just thinking it from like a if I'm looking you up, like on like Apple or something, like
it's easier to find.
It really is easy to find because there's no other Nico Gennari who's making music.
True.
You know what I mean?
True.
And that's you got a strong Italian last name. Got to use it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'll think about it.
You know what I mean? Like
I was thinking about that. I don't know. I spaced my name out, like N space.
Right, which is cool. No, definitely.
It looks different.
Cool.
You know,
right.
it's not like
definitely
just Nico,
different, right?
You know,
and
So-
you know, in today's like finding people era, I think you got to be a little more. You got to think about how if like somebody in like Cali wanted to find you, you know what I mean, and they didn't have like your ad or something, but they knew you made music, like where can I find you? So it's like, yeah, I always thought that. I was like, yeah, definitely use your last name.
All right.
Because it's very I'm not telling you how to run your
I
career.
gotta rebrand my whole image then.
And there's nothing
Just
wrong
change
with
my
that.
name. I don't know.
Yeah, no, just change your name, right? Just change your name. Because Mike actually was talking to a woman from Lawrence. Her name used to be Isha from the 978, and she just changed it to Isha with an exclamation point because it's easy to find.
That's
You know
cool.
what I
Yeah.
mean? Right. You know, that type of shit. It's definitely something to think about. You know what I'm saying? All right.
Yeah. I mean, like when you go on like Spotify or Apple Music, like the name that pops up, like it's like Nico dash the song name.
Oh, okay.
And I made it Nico. It was like simple. It looked cleaner. I don't know, but yeah.
Hey, listen, there's nothing wrong with like, rebranding shit. That's what I had to do with this. I basically was like, before this whole shit, this looked like a dentist office waiting room. And that's not Mike's fault, one of his own. He didn't think he'd get like a permanent resident who was renting this side of the room out. But yeah, it's just I think ultimately it's just making all your stuff look good and clean.
Fact.
And that's all you can do. Because I know, you're a clean dressed guy, you know what I'm saying? Fresh to death up in there, you can definitely do it. Totally. But of course, I want to give a shout out to my man Nico right here. Thank you so much for coming on, bro. I really, really appreciate it. I'm really happy that you are on the road to episode 100. That was my goal, is to like get the people, not even fill it up, but get the people who are deserving of an interview. Because I get asked for interviews a lot, and I'm like, no, like, you know what I mean? No, like, no. In my head, I'm like, yeah, we'll talk with him. I'm like, no, like, no. Because my thing with that, and to say one more thing, as an artist, if you listen to this, let me come to you and ask if you want to be on. You know what I mean? There are some artists who I come to and they already said, oh, yeah, I've been looking to come on, which is cool. I like that. I had that experience with my guy Shah. Shout out to him. And Ernie is the weapon of two. I remember that being a convo. But yeah, just let me come to you. Because as a platform, you know
what the best thing is for your brand.
And it's like, okay, that, and it's like, are these the guests I want to highlight? Is this it's like, yes. I totally do. If it's a no, then it's like, all right, that's why there's a bunch of other podcasts you can go to.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to say yes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they all say no, then it's like, all right, look in the mirror. You know what I mean? But definitely, like, if you're listening to this as an artist, let me come to you. That's all I'm going to say.
Say that.
Say that. Right, exactly. Say that. As always, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning into this episode. If you like this episode and you're watching on YouTube, please leave a like and comment on this video, and please hit that subscriber button. I had goals for this year for the subscribers that are already met, so that's great, and now I have new goals, and I would like help accomplishing those goals. So if you could, smash that subscribe button. But as always, you know where to find me. I said it at the beginning of the episode. I'm going to reiterate. It's REPETE 617 on Instagram. And I say I'm repeat because I'm a junior. My dad has the same name. That's where I got it from. If you didn't know that too. And follow the podcast. Say _that_pod. We are almost at episode 100. And let me tell you, it's going to be a special one. And in between now and then, I'm going to have a very, very special announcement coming for a lot of people that, in my mind, I have been looking forward to since I started podcasting. So be on the lookout for that. And also, I never say this, and I don't know why. I follow AOA Studios on Instagram. Mike's behind the camera like, yeah, you should shout that out. It's AOA.studios. So please do that. But as always, ladies and gentlemen, y'all know my drill. You don't know what the fuck's going on. Don't say this. Say that. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.